So the purpose of this video is to acquaint ourselves with the vocabulary that's used to describe the noun in ancient Greek, ancient / Koine / New Testament Greek. And then we're going to kind of see it in action in just a couple of cases. What we'll do is we'll start with our knowledge of English and let that lead us into the Greek so that we work with what's familiar and move into what is possibly less familiar. So let's start. We're going to take this word, he, make sure it shows up here, yes. He, his, and him. We could also take the words she, hers, and her, or even they, their, and them. Now, the thing about this is, all the words in this top row are in what we might call the subject form. They are the subjects. He likes ancient Greek. She studies ancient Greek. They are taking a Greek class together, something like that. Those are all subjects. And so in Greek, when a word is in the subject form, it is said to be in the nominative case. Nominative comes from the Latin word nomen, which means noun or name, the naming case you could think of. Now, if we go down to this next row, his, hers, their, these words all show possession. His book, or maybe the book is hers, or their studies, that sort of thing. And when a word is in this form in ancient Greek, it is said to be in the genitive. Make sure I spell these right. In the genitive case. Genitive, coming from like the word generate. If you think about if you generated or produced something, it might be yours. So that might help you remember that this is the case of possession. It's not the only use it has, but that's it. That's our starting point. So if we look at this bottom row, him, her, them, all of these words are objects. And so, for instance, the teacher likes him. The teacher asked her. The teacher gave them some books or a list of vocabulary to learn. So these kind of receive the action of the verb, or the recipients of the verbal action. And when that is the case, when a word in ancient Greek is in this form, it's said to be in the accusative case. There you might think about accusing someone. That person is the recipient of an accusation, right? That might help us remember. So there's actually two more cases in ancient Greek, and we'll talk about one here. It's why I left some space here. In English, we don't have a single word for this next one. So, for instance, say the teacher gives to him a book, gives a book to him, to her, to them. We have to express this idea in English with this word to. In Greek, they actually will just have one word. They'll just have a different form to express this notion, and this is called the dative case. Dative meaning coming from the Latin dare, to give. Now there's one more case, and we'll just start with the name. It's called the vocative case, from the Latin vocare, to call. It's when you're addressing someone. We've all actually heard a Latin example of this. Et tu, Brute. I might have used that example already. The person's name is actually Brutus, but when directly addressed, Brute. And we had an example of Christe or Christe, Kyrie. In Latin, there would be like Dominus is Lord, but O Domine. So that is a feature of Greek. We don't exactly have that in English. We can certainly address people, but we don't have a separate word. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at a word, and we're actually only going to look at it in two different cases, and then we're going to talk about how to describe it. And the reason for this, I should have put this first. The reason for this is it's just the way Greek is done. If you look at any sort of book on Greek grammar, or if you look up analyses of Greek texts, this is kind of the vocabulary they employ. So we just have to know it. It's not that difficult or anything, but but that's one of the main reasons that we want to do this. It's been around a long time. So we're going to take a word. Well, actually, I'll just start it here. We're going to take the word adelphos, and we're going to use the definite article with it. So adelphos. Hopefully you can read. That's a lambda and a phi or phi there. Ho adelphos. Now this is the singular instance, this column here. Just like before, we didn't really say that, but he and her, singular, and then they would be plural. So ho adelphos means the brother. And it could mean obviously like an actual blood brother or a brother in the faith. When it is found in the plural, it looks like hoi adelphoi. So like in English, we would say the brother and the brothers. In Greek, they make a couple of changes. They change the definite article as well. Notice it changes from ho to hoi, and adelphos changes to adelphoi. We're going to look at the accusative case. Now, we'll tackle the other cases in future videos. The accusative case here, ton adelphon, would be the singular, the plural, tous. Sorry about that. We all know I struggle to write, even in English. Adelphos. So this means the brother, but the brother in the him situation, being the recipient of the action of a verb. The brother, the brothers. And just one other thing, we're going to do that in just a second, but it's typical. There's a kind of a formula, something I didn't mention. These words are all masculine. Greek has 3 grammatic genders: masculine, feminine, and neuter. These are all masculine. So if you were to see this form of the word, you would typically say this is masculine, accusative, singular. This form, masculine, nominative, plural. That's kind of all there is to that. All right, now what we'll do is we'll just take this same word, brother, and we're going to use a word from before. Let's introduce a verb. We're going to use this verb agapa. And that means he, she, or it loves. He, she, it loves. And this is kind of the famous, this is the noun form would be agape. This was translated in the King James Bible by using the word charity. This is a non-transactional kind of love, a love that expects nothing in return. Very warm-hearted love of neighbor. So we know this word adelphos. That's one of the words we're going to use. Oh, adelphos. And from way back in the Greek alphabet video, we're going to use the word for God. Ho-theos. And we're just going to make a couple simple sentences using this verb and these nouns. And what we're going to do, I hope it's not too disorienting, right away we're going to jump into a Greek order, or really a Greek order that reflects the Hebrew standard sentence order. So let's say something like, let's imagine we come across this sentence. Agapa ho adelphos ton theon. And what we can do before we attempt to translate, what we actually have to do is identify like the function of all the words, which is what we were talking about just a few minutes ago. So we aren't in this video directly addressing the verb, so we're just going to understand that agapa means he, she, or it loves. And then we're going to look here. We see we have ho adelphos. I know it's not up here, but this is our nominative, or I should say our masculine nominative singular. The nominative is the subject case. And so when you have a situation like this, he, she, or it loves, if we have a specified subject, it kind of overrides the he, she, or it part. So what this much is going to mean is the brother loves. And then we see ton theon, and we know from before that this is actually masculine. I didn't say that, but this is masculine, or I don't think I said it. Masculine accusative singular, meaning that it's the object of the verb. So altogether, we could say, I'll put it here, we'll say that the brother loves God. Something you'll get used to and you won't even think about it after a while is theos in Greek is usually going to have the article. We don't, this is an instance where we have a definite article, Greek has a definite article, the usages don't overlap like 100%. We don't use the article that way. If we put an article in here, the brother loves the God, that might mean one God out of many. And certainly in a monotheistic context, that might not make any sense. So context would, a broader context would let us know the meaning there. But just keep in mind, you'll also see the article with names, and certainly we don't, if you see ho Aristoteles, we don't say the Aristotle, we just say Aristotle. Or ho Jesus, typically just say Jesus, not the Jesus. Okay, so let's see if we switch. What happens if God loves the brother? Now, there's, in English, notice we rely on word order. The brother loves God. If we want to switch that, we're going to say God loves the brother. In Greek, you don't have to change the order at all. You could simply say agapaton adelphon ho theos. And you might think, well, how do you know? How do we know the meaning here? Well, we would do just the same thing. We know the verb is the same. He, she, or it loves. When we come to this word, we see ton adelphon. It is actually masculine accusative, singular. So we know it has to be the object of the verb. He, she, or it loves the brother. And then when we have ho theos, we see that's the nominative, the masculine nominative, singular. So we know that this is the subject. God loves the brother. And you could change the order. You could move these words around. You could say something like ton. I wish I could. Del. Phone. Ga. Ba. Ho. Os. These would mean exactly the same thing because we haven't changed the form of the words. Now, the interesting thing there is the emphasis is different. I mean, here we're hearing the word brother first. Here we're hearing the word love first. And of course, you could put this in the English order. You could say ho theos agapaton adelphon. There are many possibilities in Greek. So I hope that this is somewhat helpful. If not, please let me know. In future videos, we will keep doing this sort of thing. And actually, let me put up a translation here so we know that this is God loves the brother. And in future videos, we'll take plural examples. I just trying to keep this as short as possible, and it's probably already gone on far too long. So again, if this isn't clear, please let me know in the comments, and I hope your study of the Greek language is going along beautifully. Peace to you.